bump up and change up a couple of things. That way you can better understand this. So here's our warm-up for today, okay, and it's ordering rational numbers. So again, make sure that you're able to color code this if you're possible, right? So we see negative right there, 2/10. That's also the same as negative 2/10, right? And so again, we have to be versatile, where we could go from a decimal to a fraction. So 2/10 right there, we would label that. And then we have 1 and 1/10. That's a positive, so we're looking at it right there. And then we see negative 1 and 1/5, so we're looking at it about, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and here we go, there's 5. And then we have 1/10, right? 1/10. Again, make sure you're writing while I write. And there we see it right there. So again, they want us to go from least to greatest. So that's from little to top, and that would be ascending order, right? And so here we would list the least value, which is negative 1 and 1/5. Negative 1 and 5/10. And then we would have negative 2/10. And then we would have positive 1/10. And then we would have 1 and 1/10 right there, okay? And so again, make sure that you write that in order, okay? And then let's look at the second one. Again, we're going from least to greatest, so we want to make sure that we can label this. So we have negative 1 and 1/10 right there. Negative 8/10, so that's a little bit before the negative 1. Then we have negative 2, which is over here, and negative 1 and 1, and negative 1 and 2/10. So there we can see that all of these are negatives, right? And so the least amount is the number that's furthest from 0. So we would start at negative 2, right? And then we would have negative 1 and 2/10. Then we would have negative 8/10, and the greatest out of this would be negative 1/10, right? And so there you go, my friends. You have this from least to greatest. Make sure you know this. Next week, you'll have a PSDI. So we have to be able to make sure that we know how to label rational numbers. And again, rational numbers are decimals or fractions, repeating numbers, right? They're not whole numbers. And so we can actually label it from least to greatest. All right, now let's go ahead and look at our guided practice. So here, we're going to label them with a given letter, okay? And again, the biggest thing I want you to highlight or notate for me is that it is always best practice to change these fractions to decimals right there, okay? And so here we have 1/2, which looks like, hopefully you said 5/10, right? And so 5/10 or 1/2 would be right here, so we'll put 0.5 right there. And we're going to label that letter X. And then we have 1 and 1/4. So again, if I see 1 and 2, right, half of that is 1 and 1/2, so we cut that again. And that's where we get our 1 and 1/4, so we're going to label that Y. And then next we have 1 and 3/8, right? And so let's think about it. Remember the eighths? 1/8 is, who remembers? Yep, 125 thousandths. And if we multiply that by 3, because it's 3/8, we would end up with 0.375. So again, 1 and 3/8 would probably be right here. So we'll say that is Z. Okay, and again, please excuse my handwriting. I'm trying my best with this mouse. All right, this next one, let's take a look at it. Okay, so here we see that they want to know in the set of numbers who has the greatest value and who has the least value. Okay, so again, the best practice is to go ahead and make you a number line, right? And so they already have it right here. Sorry, this should also be in red because that's one number. That's negative 1 and 3/4. We have 2/5, right? And then we have 4 and negative 2 and 1/2. So we would say negative 2 and 1/2 is probably the least amount. 2.5. Then second would be this -1. Third would probably be positive 3/5, or we know that is going to be, remember, 2 out of 5 friends, 0.4. And then lastly, we have a positive 4, which would be all the way over here. And that would be our greatest value. Oops, that wasn't too pretty. There we go. Okay, so again, make sure you are going through this and practicing it out with the number line. Some of you have it on your desk. Some of you just need to draw one, okay? So just continue practicing that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put that down and go ahead and zoom in on this next one. All right, so here we have -5.25, right? And so here we see that we are counting by ones. So it'd probably be about right there. That one would be, right? And then again, they want us to list it from greatest to least. -8 would probably be right here. Then I have 3 1/4 or 3.25, so it's going to be right a little bit right there. And then lastly, we have 5 1/2, so it'd be right in the middle between that 5 and that 6. So again, we'd go greatest to least. We would say the 5 1/2 would be the greatest, and then the next greatest would be this 3 1/4. Oops, I wrote that wrong. It should be a 4 right there, sorry. And then we have -5.25, and then the least amount of all of this would be -8, because it is the furthest, right, from the 0 right here. Okay. So again, make sure that you have this guided practice, these notes on your desk while you're doing your assignment. Now your assignment is on paper, but I do need you to be able to be flexible and go type your answers in Schoology for immediate feedback. So this right here, my friends, you see is the assignment, right? It's front and back, half a sheet. You're going to keep doing the same thing, okay? If you don't have your Chromebook, make sure that you turn this paper into the sub, because I need to type in the answers for this, okay? We got to make sure we get answers in. All right, this is what it's called. 2.27 Thursday. I'm actually going to update it to where it has today's date of Wednesday. Okay, so it should end up saying 2.26 Wednesday for you. And that way we are ahead of the game. Remember, always ahead, never behind. Thank you. On the last slide, I will put the actual math IXL that I want you to work on. So you'll see that on the last slide, so you can click on it and work on it, okay? And then again, make sure your math minutes are done, right? And then I would like for you to play this game right here in the middle, that one right there, that blue one, that blue background, for 4 minutes comparing integers. Make sure all your work is done, because again, I would like to have a reward day on Friday. If you owe work, unfortunately, you won't be able to participate. So let's make sure we knock everything out. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, okay? Hope you guys all have a wonderful day, and I will see you on Thursday. Take care.